Hello and welcome. One thing we all have in common, it doesn't matter what country you're from. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Doesn't matter what ethnic origin you are. We all have one thing that we're given every day. Can you guess what it is? It's time. Time equalizes everything. Time is fair, and we all get the same amount of time every day. So what does that have to do with quilting? Well, I'm here to tell you and give you some tips about how to wisely use 15 minutes of your time every day to get your sewing done. Welcome. My name is Angela Davis, and I'm the 4M Quilter. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular, welcome. I enjoy having you. So 15 minutes. Last week, I was trying to carve a little bit of time out of my morning before work to get some sewing done. So I set my timer for 15 minutes. And I got several strips sewn that I now need to subcut into 2.5-inch segments so that I can continue making my curtains for my sewing room. And as I'm sewing, my mind's relaxing and I'm thinking about that 15 minutes, and I'm thinking about how when I set my timer for 15 minutes to sit and sew, I sometimes think, does it really make a difference? And then I look at my pile and I say, you know what? It does make a difference. Now, I got the sewing done, but I didn't get the ironing done. I did the ironing that evening. But if I hadn't utilized that 15 minutes that morning, this would have never been done at all. Because oftentimes when I come home in the evening, I'm tired. You know, I want to just eat my supper, relax, and put my feet up. And then the flip side of that coin is, how many times have I wasted my time? And I think to myself, well, it's only 15 minutes, I'll do it tomorrow. Or I only have a half hour, I'll do it tomorrow. Instead, I'll just read my book or I'll watch my show, which is all well and good. We all need our time to relax. But I thought about that, and I thought about how sometimes I waste my time, and we all do it because we need that downtime. We need downtime away from the stress of constantly following the clock. I work a job where I work a general shift from 8 to 4:30. I get a half-hour lunch. So we're always watching the clock. What time did I start this morning? Depends on what time I'll check out at the end of the day. I get a half hour for lunch. If I get there at 7:45, then I can leave at 4:15 or maybe take an extra 15 minutes for lunch. If I don't get there till 8:30, well then I know I'm going to stay till 5 with a half-hour lunch. My position, thankfully, as long as I get there between about 7:45 to 8:30 in the morning, they're okay with that. You just adjust your schedule at the end of the day. So every day I'm thinking about, okay, the clock, you know, if I get to work at this time, this is what time I'll have to punch at the end of the day. Or on the weekend, well, I'm gonna sit and relax, have my coffee, my hot tea, and then about 9:30 I'll start moving. Do I need to go to the bank? Do I need to go to the grocery store? Let me call my mom. What's she doing today? Does she need to go to the bank or the grocery store? You know, we're so on the clock, you know. And I thought, you know what? It's okay if I waste some time. It's okay if some days I'm not watching the clock and I am just sitting with my feet up and I'm watching a show, or I'm looking through one of my pattern books, or I'm scrolling through my phone. But in the mornings, that's when I'm like, if I'm going to get something done, it's going to be done in the morning. Or as soon as I walk in the door from work. I'm not a night owl. But some people would say, okay, waking up at 4:30, that's the middle of the night to me. Depending on what time you go to bed, it is. For me, it's early because I go to bed really early. For some people, that's smack dab in the middle of the night, you know. Everybody has a different internal clock, you know. You go to bed at a certain time that's comfortable for you. Is it 7:30 in the evening? Is it 9:30 in the evening? Is it midnight? Do you get up at 5? Do you get up at 7? Do you get up at 9? Do you get up at noon? We all have different internal clocks of what works for us as far as our sleep patterns. Follow your sleep pattern. But when I set my timer for 15 minutes, I know I'm going to get something done. Whether it's sewing, or mopping the floor, or vacuuming, or dusting my living room. And that 15 minutes helps me stay focused. And it relieves the pressure from having to get everything done. Because if I can focus on 15 minutes and get that one task done, and I can say, okay, I finished that, let me set the timer again for 15 minutes. What other tasks can I do? And that helps me break my tasks down throughout the week and the weekend so that I don't feel so overwhelmed. Because I do get overwhelmed. Life can be overwhelming. And breaking that 15 minutes down, my time helps me focus. So I wanted to share that with you. But I also wanted to show you an example. You know, this is 15 minutes of sewing right here. Not ironing them, sewing. And then this quilt, okay, it's a trip around the world. I did a video for this, I don't know, 2 months ago. I'm just now finishing the quilting. It's been sitting in the UFO bin for 2 months. All I had to do was finish the quilting. What am I waiting for? You know, the handwritten invitation, Angela, you need to get this done. You know, this is for someone. Instead, it sits over there in the UFO bin, and I walk by it every day, and I think, oh, I'm going to print another pattern maybe and start another video. Whoa, what about that? So this weekend, I pulled it out of the UFO bin, and I said, 15 minutes, start quilting. So I did about 40 minutes, and I finished the machine quilting. I'm going to hold it up for you. And don't worry, I'll put a link below so that you can see the video for it. Okay. So now what I've done is I trimmed down the backing and the batting, and I'm going to press the top and fold over the top to the back, and I'm going to stitch. I'm going to do the fold over binding. But literally, like, I had half the quilting done. All I had to do was finish the other half. And that's when I said to myself, you know what, Angela, try the 15 minutes. So that's what I did this weekend. I set the timer for 15 minutes, got my machine ready, put on my walking foot, did a few sample stitches, and then I got to it. And I finished it. Took me about 45 minutes. It sat there for 2 months. Why? doesn't make sense. But we all do it. We all do it, you know? But I wanted to share that with you because when I break something down into 15 minutes, it's manageable, it's focused, and you can finish that task to move on to the next task, or you can finish that task to move on to a related task. So I knew once I got the quilting done, all I had to do was trim this and then do my fold over binding. Well, I'll be doing that this week. It's going to take me a little more than 15 minutes. I'm going to do it on my machine, just take my time with it. But I have to iron it first. That'll take about 15 minutes. And then the machine quilting, that'll take about the machine sewing down the binding, the fold over binding, that'll take about 15 minutes. So I probably have about a half hour's worth of work. But when I say a half hour, I think, oh my gosh, a half hour, that's a lot. And then I go, no, 15 minutes. Iron it, 15 minutes, sew down the binding, done. And I don't have to do the 15 minutes all in one sitting. I could do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. I could do 15 minutes in the evening, finish it up in the morning. If I break it up into smaller steps, it's very manageable for me. And so that's my advice. Take 15 minutes, pull something out, a UFO, assess what needs to be done, and then break it down into 15-minute increments. And it's amazing what we can accomplish when we break it down into smaller steps. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about our time. I wanted to talk about how time levels the field for all of us. We're all given 24 hours. Doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter what your politics are, doesn't matter where you come from. We all get it. 24 hours in a day. So my question is, how are you going to use your next 15 minutes? And leave a comment so that I can read about it. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy quilting. And remember, why sleep when you can sew? Here's a little hug from Angela. Bye.